We live in an era where we can send a message to the other side of the planet in a millisecond, yet we have never felt further apart. We stare at glowing screens, wondering what the person sitting right next to us is really thinking. We struggle to read their expressions, we wonder if our friendships are real, and we question if love can truly survive the chaos of modern life. Welcome to Visual Books. Today, we are exploring Plays Well with Others, by Eric Barker. This is not just another self-help guide. It is a scientific, deeply human, and often hilarious exploration of the mysteries of human relationships. Barker dives deep into the data to debunk the myths we have been told about connection, revealing what actually makes us tick, how we can understand one another, and how we can build bonds that last a lifetime. Let us begin with Chapter 1. Can you judge a book by its cover? This chapter tackles our deep-seated belief that we can read people, that we can look into someone's eyes and know if they are lying, or read their body language to uncover their deepest secrets. The core concept here is that we are actually terrible at reading others. The scientific truth is shocking. The average person has about a 54% accuracy rate when trying to detect a lie. That is barely better than flipping a coin. Barker introduces us to the work of William Ikes, the world's leading expert on empathic accuracy. Ikes discovered that while we think we are master detectives, we are constantly blinded by our own biases and assumptions. We look for classic tells, like someone crossing their arms or looking to the left, which have been thoroughly debunked by science. Barker also shares stories of seasoned CIA interrogators and federal agents who admit that traditional lie detection is a myth. So, how do we actually read someone? The actionable advice in this chapter is counterintuitive. First, you must increase the other person's cognitive load. Lies are mentally exhausting to maintain. If you ask open-ended questions and ask them to tell their story in reverse, the liar's brain will struggle, and the truth will slip out. Second, forget body language and focus on the voice. Research shows we are much better at detecting emotion and deception through vocal cues than facial expressions. And finally, practice vulnerability. If you want someone to be honest and open with you, you must be willing to show your own cards first. Now, we move to Chapter 2, Is a Friend in Need a Friend Indeed? This chapter explores the profound anatomy of friendship and the silent epidemic of our time, loneliness. The core concept is that friendship is the single most important factor for our long-term physical and mental health. Barker reveals a terrifying statistic: loneliness is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It is more dangerous than obesity. Yet, in our hyper-connected digital world, we have fewer close friends than ever before. To illustrate this, Barker takes us on a journey through history and evolutionary biology. He examines Robin Dunbar's famous research on social networks, which shows that our brains are only wired to maintain about 150 stable relationships, and only about 5 truly close friendships. He shares stories of extreme survival, like polar expeditions, where the strength of social bonds, not physical strength, determined who lived and who died. We learn that modern life has stripped away the natural, built-in communities our ancestors relied on, leaving us to navigate the world in isolation. The actionable advice for building and keeping deep friendships is clear. First, prioritize consistency. Friendships do not survive on good intentions, they survive on time. You must schedule regular interactions. Second, embrace vulnerability. True friendship is not built on showing off your highlight reel, it is built on sharing your struggles and fears. Third, celebrate your friend's victories. We often think a good friend is someone who helps us when we are down, but research shows that how a friend reacts to your good news is actually a stronger predictor of the relationship's strength. Be enthusiastic when they win. We continue with Chapter 3, Does Love Conquer All? This chapter dives into the beautiful, chaotic, and often terrifying world of romantic love. The core concept is that love alone is not enough to sustain a marriage or a long-term partnership. Relationships fail not because of a lack of love, but because of how couples handle conflict and communicate daily. Barker takes us inside the famous Love Lab run by relationship expert John Gottman. For decades, Gottman watched couples interact, measuring their heart rates, stress hormones, and communication patterns. With over 90% accuracy, Gottman could predict whether a couple would stay together or divorce, just by watching them argue for a few minutes. Barker introduces us to Gottman's 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, the 4 toxic communication styles that destroy relationships: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Of these, contempt is the deadliest. It is the single greatest predictor of divorce. The actionable advice in this chapter is a lifeline for any romantic relationship. First, eliminate contempt. Never speak down to your partner or make them feel inferior. Second, use soft startups. When an issue arises, do not launch into an attack. Instead of saying, "You never do the dishes," try saying, "I feel overwhelmed when the kitchen is messy, could you help me?" Third, cultivate a shared narrative. Happy couples have a positive story about how they met and how they overcome obstacles together. Revisit that story often. And finally, do exciting things together. The old advice of having quiet dinner dates is fine, but novel, thrilling activities trigger dopamine and keep the romantic spark alive. Finally, we arrive at Chapter 4, Is No Man an Island? This final chapter scales up from individuals and couples to look at the power of community, groups, and belonging. The core concept is that human beings are deeply tribal creatures. We are not meant to go it alone. When we belong to a tight-knit community, our health, happiness, and lifespan increase dramatically. But when we isolate ourselves in the pursuit of extreme individualism, we suffer. To prove this, Barker shares the incredible story of Roseto, Pennsylvania, a small town populated by Italian immigrants in the mid-20th century. The people of Roseto ate high-fat foods, smoked, drank, and did not exercise, yet they had virtually no heart disease, and their death rate was incredibly low. Researchers were baffled until they realized the secret was the town's social structure. It was a community where multiple generations lived under one roof, where neighbors chatted on porches, and where no one was left to struggle alone. The power of community literally shielded them from disease. The actionable advice for this chapter is to build your own village. Do not wait for a community to find you, you must create it. Join structured groups that meet regularly around a shared purpose, whether that is a sports league, a book club, a religious group, or a volunteer organization. Rituals matter, so establish routines with your group. And finally, shift your mindset from me to we. True belonging requires us to give up a little bit of our independence in exchange for the safety, warmth, and strength of the collective. In the epilogue, Barker brings everything together to leave us with a final, beautiful truth: our relationships are the single most important project of our lives. When we look back at the end, it will not be our wealth, our status, or our achievements that mattered. It will be the quality of our connections, the people we loved, and the people who loved us back. Thank you for watching. If you found this summary helpful, please like this video, subscribe to Visual Books for more summaries, and share it with someone who would benefit.